So I was trying to figure out how to start this video. So I figured I might as well go full cyber psychosis. Cyberpunk 2077 has ruined my life. It's the year 2020. You survived year one of the pandemic and experienced a year of peak gaming. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Doom Eternal, and even the Back Shots of Us Part 2. And the best way to end the year off is with the long-awaited Cyberpunk 2077. Or so we thought. Despite getting 80s and 90s across the board, the game was a buggy nightmare. The game was so bad that you would have thought Bethesda made the game. CD Projekt Red releasing its first ever FPS RPG game, and this was how it turned out. Definitely didn't sit right with people. The game's state was so bad that PlayStation had to take it off the PlayStation Store and offer refunds, which is something Sony never does. Not to mention that the game was such a letdown that even the government had to investigate CD Projekt Red because of its poor launch. Lucky for me, I didn't get to experience those game-breaking glitches when it first came out. As a matter of fact, I just stopped playing the game simply because at the time in my life, I just didn't feel like playing it. I originally bought the game on the Xbox, which is a good reason why I stopped playing it. And I think I just didn't feel like investing time into another open world game. Depending on the feedback of this video, I might do a video on mental fatigue and gaming. I bought the game on PlayStation and waited till the free PS5 upgrade before the thought of playing it again crept back into my mind. But I ignored those tendencies and hopped on to the next game. Then Edge Runners was released, and that saw a massive increase in people playing it. And I still ignored those tendencies. Even though I wanted to avenge Rebecca and David, I still didn't want to play it. So why did I decide to play it now all of a sudden? Well, to tell you the truth, there is no logical explanation. Maybe I just wanted to check off another game in my backlog. But in December of 2024, I decided to take a stroll into Night City and I never looked back. Long story short, I've been playing this game since December and clocked in over 400 hours, and I probably will clock in another 100 hours. The reason I'm making this video now is simply because the Cyberpunk fatigue is starting to kick in. Otherwise, I probably will put this video on hold for another few months. So if you're wondering why I haven't been posting as much lately, we'll blame Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk ended up being one of those games that became an obsession of mine. Only games like Mass Effect, Elden Ring, Yakuza, Returnal, and Stellar Blade have managed to become an obsession of mine, where I've dived hundreds of hours into them. Okay, maybe Stellar Blade made the list for a different reason, but I still clocked in over 100 hours though.
Ass and boobies.
When I play games, I like to play the story for a little bit and then mainly deal with all of the available side quests. This one was no different because it's literally why I have over 400 hours. I thought I was just going to beat the game and go about my business, but that was clearly not the case. It's like every time I tried to play something else, this voice in the back of my head kept telling me to go back and play Cyberpunk. I felt like Norman Osborn in Spider-Man, only difference is my voice was Pan Am. I was so obsessed with this game that I even platinumed it. That meant dealing with the godforsaken NCPD scanner missions. Even on a third playthrough, it's still a pain in the ass to do because there's so many of them. The only bonus of playing those is just to experiment with your builds. That's like one of the best things about doing the NCPD scanner missions. But I figured out the best way to do them is to set the difficulty to easy and just breeze through them. Still annoying, but it's whatever. Cyberpunk 2077 is a story about V, who is trying to become an NC legend in the City of Dreams. But during his quest for fame, he gets thrown into a bigger problem that can either make him or break him. Now the game gives you 3 paths. You can play as a street kid, which basically means you grew up in Night City, you know how things work, who to talk to, who to get the best cyberware from, and when to avoid getting shot in the street, which is something you gotta worry about every day. Or you can play as a nomad, who are the people Night City looks down upon. They're basically like the advanced version of homeless people, with the exception of having the most beautiful woman on the planet being Pan Am.
Oh my god! Wow!
And the last option Cyberpunk gives you to choose from is the corpo lifestyle. This is you basically being the ops. Corpos are the closest thing to the devil in Night City, and you just signed a deal with them. Corpo is my current playthrough right now, and the one thing I love about Corpo V is the dialogue choices. Each path has unique dialogue choices for certain moments, but Corpo so far has been my favorite besides Nomad. After making it through the prologue that was spoiled through multiple trailers, which makes it seem like the story of V and Jackie was just something to try and make the audiences have a connection, sort of similar to Kite and Gone in 2011's Hunter x Hunter remake. So after the heist goes bad, we lose Jackie and get our brains blown out by Dexter the Shaw, aka Fat T-Pain, and roll credits. Then I was able to witness one of the greatest missions ever with Johnny freaking Silverhand. It set the tone with who the hell this rocker by day and terrorist by night was and what he had in store for us. Storming Arasaka Tower with just a revolver and a badass song playing in the background was more than enough to get me hyped. I never get tired of hearing Rebel Path. It puts me in a trance very similar to The Only Thing They Fear Is You from Doom Eternal. It's just one of those songs that makes you feel like you can do anything and no one can stop you. Which is funny because I ain't gonna say nothing. Okay. We wake up and now it's a race against time to save V from dying while also helping him become an NC legend. Now the story isn't some masterpiece of a story, but it still does its job to make you become invested. Even if your motive for playing the game is Keanu Reeves, you'll still enjoy it. One of my favorite missions in the game was probably storming Arasaka Tower again with Rogue. Mainly because it's almost like Johnny is getting to redo his original attack back in 2023, and plus, you know, I get to hear Rebel Path again. Once we make it past the Voodoo Boys and find all we need to help save V, we're given the option on how to save V. We can either let Johnny take over and storm Arasaka Tower again, call up our boo Pan Am and have her and the Aldecados help you attack Arasaka Tower, with the result of losing multiple lives. You can make a deal with the devil and have Arasaka save you, despite everything that has happened. You can go the most badass route and not risk any lives at all but yourself, and go the don't fear the Reaper route and do something that only Morgan Blackhand or Adam Smasher could do. The only downside of that is that if you die during the assault, it's game over. Or you can go the depressing route and just blow your brains out and make your journey pointless, which is one of the key aspects of Night City. It doesn't matter what path you're on. All it takes is a bullet to stop your journey. There's also a sixth choice, but we'll get to that later. In terms of endings, Star is the best one. Not simply because of Pan Am, but because V basically has everything he could ask. A family, the baddest woman on the planet, and the potential of finding a cure. I don't care what anyone says. Pan Am is the definition of a ride or die girl. She would have found a way to save V. If you can't tell by now, I am clearly obsessed with Pan Am. I'm sorry. I just want to point that out. I thought after getting all the base game trophies, I would be done with the game, but something in the back of my mind said oh my god. Phantom Liberty is top 5 greatest story expansions in gaming history. It is up there with the Citadel from Mass Effect 3, Elden Ring Shadow of Erdtree, Undead Nightmare, Witcher 3, and freaking Bloodborne. I have never been this hooked on a DLC like this before. This was the perfect spy thriller since Skyfall. Story, masterpiece. Characters, masterpiece. Soundtrack, masterpiece. Speaking of characters, Somi, Bay, Reed, Goat, Rosalind Myers.
The whore. Wow.
I'm sorry. That was completely out of line. I'm still pissed about how she treated me at the end of the story. Phantom Liberty took everything that was great about the original game and took it to the next level. Phantom Liberty takes place between the main story of Cyberpunk. It becomes available after you're teased about the Black Wall with the Voodoo Boys. Honestly, I think it fits much better after you beat the game, because I like to look at it like this. After everything V does, he's still gonna die. But then out of nowhere, this random netrunner gives you hope for another cure. Unlike the base game, you actually have hope in this run because it's a whole different ball game. In the original game, you dealt with corporation power in order to find a cure. But with Phantom Liberty, you're dealing with real power that's going to come at a price. But the question is for you to decide if the price is worth paying. But that's just my perspective. The DLC flows better after the Voodoo Boys mission because, it gives you another option to choose from. Every mission was a cinematic masterpiece. But I'll tell you what, the real cinematic masterpiece is during the I've Seen That Face Before mission, where you're given the option to either side with Reed or Songbird. My first playthrough, I picked Songbird because despite what's revealed later on, I still would have saved her. Simply because her and V were in similar situations, and also because I was trying to destroy that cyberware box. Wink,
You some
wink.
freaky ass nigga!
You sort of feel bad for every character in the game, despite what route they take. Except for Myers and Atom Smasher, they can spend eternity in the Black Wall for all I care. If you side with Songbird, you get one of the greatest missions ever created, being the Killer Moon. Imagine the final scene in Whiplash, or the final sequence in whatever masterpiece of a movie of your choosing, and imagine that, but times 10. Everything about this mission is phenomenal. Helping Somi go to the moon, sneaking through the airport with the NUSA hunting you down, and Reed leading the front line. He's a broken man at this point. He's someone that's dedicated to the job, whether it's for the greater good or for the purpose of blind loyalty. He has to clip the wings of someone he truly cares about and taught everything she knows. Then we have the cinematic scene of Songbird unleashing the power of the Black Wall on the NUSA agents. At this point, there's nothing else that can top that. But there was, depending on your taste and opinion. As you're making your way to the rocket, Reed appears out of nowhere, showing us that there's levels to this spy game. He gives us one final plea, and depending on your choice, you know what happens next. I've seen people say that Reed wanted this to happen because he was caught in a lose-lose situation. Betray the country he has sworn to protect for so long, despite being betrayed multiple times for it, or to continue blindly serving that country and taking out the last person you still care for. And as you watch Somi go to the moon to have a girls trip with Lucy, you come to the conclusion that Don't Fear the Reaper is the perfect way to go after this DLC, and the rest is history. The second cinematic choice is to side with Reed, and then the game turns into the greatest but depressing horror game ever created. Once you betray Somi, she starts to lose control of herself and lets the Black Wall take over, and now you have to save her before it's too late. After doing a badass ambush mission, you chase after Songbird and end up in an old Militech research center that was trying to harness the power of rogue AIs from the Black Wall and make them into weapons, which is revealed to be where Somi was getting her Black Wall powers from. As you dive deeper and deeper into the abyss of the facility, you start to find out more about Somi's past and how she ended up working for the NUSA, which is honestly depressing as you find out more about her. But lo and behold, something happens. As you're looking for Songbird, the Black Wall takes complete control of a giant killer robot, and the game takes a complete 180 and turns into freaking alien isolation. Hiding from the Cerberus is truly one of the most terrifying parts of the game. It doesn't help the fact that there's a literal chase scene that is honestly a nightmare for headphone users because you can hear its footsteps and it sounds like it's literally right behind you. I throw my headphones off every time during the sequence. Just the sound alone makes my skin crawl. After restoring power to help free Songbird, you get hit with the most gut-wrenching 10 to 15 minutes of your life. You're given the choice to either save Somi from her pain or keep her locked up in her cage. As a trophy hunter, both options suck, which is why I felt like this route was the canon ending and not Killer Moon. They spent so much time digging into Somi's backstory and really fleshed her character out more, just to hit you with that ultimatum. I chose to free my pretty bird, and it was honestly the most depressed I've ever been in a very long time. All I wanted to do was hug her and protect her from every foul thing that came her way. I wish we could have romanced her, but I think the devs knew not to do that because that scene would have hurt even more than it already did. After we bring her body to the NUSA, Myers says thanks for your troubles and gives us 5,000 eddies. Like, excuse me? Do you know how many tears I cried while freeing Somi from you? You mean to tell me that after everything I did for you, this is what I get? 5 freaking bands? I saved your ass from getting killed by Hansen's goons, activated your sleeper agent, took out Hansen, chose to betray Somi just to get a cure, but now you're all pissy because I killed her? And then she wanna talk about, you're lucky the NUSA isn't petty. Well, bitch, I am, so what you trying to do? Do you know who you're talking to right now? I'm the most dangerous man in Night City. Do you know how many gonks I've killed? Do you know what kind of cyberware I'm packing? I'm literally Morgan Blackhand and Johnny Silverhand rolled into one badass mofo, and you have the nerve to try and threaten me? But don't worry, on my next playthrough, I'm gonna make sure to be smoking that Rosalind pack, and it's gonna be immaculate. Alright, now that's enough about her. Let's focus back on the DLC. The overall objective of the game is to either save Somi or kill Somi. And if you're a monster, you save Somi, because that results in you getting the cure. Which is a good thing, but it also comes at a price. And that price is, you can't use any cyberware, you lose Pan Am, which is a #1 red flag for me. You lose all of your friends except for Misty and Victor. There's literally the only 2 people that care about you. Well, Judy does care about you too, depending on what route you went with her during that Clouds mission with the Tiger Claws. Also, you get beat up by this random NPC, and I'm like, bruh, come on, man, you can't have my boy go out like this. To end things off, we get hit by the Polish nightmare himself, David Podosiadlo. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce him, man. I'm gonna just call him David. I was gonna say Big D, but pause. This is one of the most dangerous men alive and should be banned from making music. This man created the infamous song Let You Down for the show Edge Runners, and now he created the Phantom Liberty song. This is without a doubt the most beautiful song I've ever heard, excluding the soundtrack from Sinners. If you thought I was crying after killing Somi, well boy, I was a wreck after hearing this song. This is up there with the Daniel Craig Bond movie songs. It's just that good. Dare I say even better. This song, man, it just does something that can't be duplicated. The only thing missing from those credits was V walking across the screen and shooting his gun at the screen. And speaking of the credits, that was beautiful as well. It gives you a summary of the events of the game and how important this story and the events will be overall in the game. One of my favorite shots is the shot of female V walking into Dogtown. She doesn't even realize what she's getting into and what kind of player she's up against. Like the great Johnny Silverhand said, you're up against seasoned players, so go out and play. Just don't get played. One of my main criticisms about the DLC is that they don't give you any more romance options. Like, I just wanted to romance Somi, Aurora, aka Bay Twin, the hottest twin in the planet, or even Alex. Also, I wish there was a third option where you sided with Hansen just to see how things would play out. The only downside I would say is the fact that we won't be getting another DLC for this game, which kind of sucks because I really would have liked to see what they were going to do on the moon besides that giant tease at the end of the one of the endings in the game. I would have liked to have been on the moon. Hopefully that'll happen in the second game. One thing I loved is the side characters and the lore. More so Pan Am. Clearly the developers knew she was end all be all, because the first shot we see of Pan Am is her being double cheeked up.
Hella ass.
But one thing I've started doing now in my latest playthrough is digging into the lore. That means reading every single document and file in the game. This is another aspect of where the game shines. If the world itself doesn't engulf you, then its lore will. Finding out more about NC legends and the history of Night City is a thing of beauty. I love reading about the corporal wars and how Johnny might be the biggest capper in Night City, which is something I'm still trying to accept despite watching multiple videos about it. But my all-time favorite piece of lore in the game is the Black Wall. The Black Wall is truly one of the most fascinating and terrifying aspects of the game. I mean, it literally has an entire DLC showcasing how terrifying it is. It's literally one of the key aspects of the game. You can't go anywhere without someone mentioning rogue AI, the infamous data crash that Bartmos did, and the Black Wall. Once we're officially introduced to the Black Wall in the mission transmission, try saying that multiple times, we see something beautiful but terrifying. A giant red wall that was meant to keep out the rogue AIs that might break bad because of Bartmos. All you hear is terrifying sounds that you would hear in a horror movie. What's funny about these sounds is that someone on YouTube made a 10-minute video of the Black Wall sounds that you can use for studying or sleeping. This is the wall that Trump talked about building during his first term. Let me find out CD Projekt was trying to be funny. One aspect of the Black Wall I thought was interesting is that you can see multiple arms trying to break free from the prison, and it had me thinking, why is that the only spot that they're trying to stick their arm out of? Is it because that's the weakest spot of the Black Wall? Or maybe it's just the easiest spot to slip through the cracks of this impenetrable wall. Maybe that's how Somi was able to tap into the power of the Black Wall multiple times. The more you think about it, the more you realize how foolish the Voodoo Boys were when trying to ally with the rogue AIs. They would have got turned into a pack before they could even insert their jack into a terminal. I'm gonna wrap this video up because I feel like I can talk about Cyberpunk for hours at this point. Cyberpunk 2077 was honestly one of the best games that I've ever played. Matter of fact, I'll say it differently. It's one of those games that got me overly obsessed with it. Besides No Man's Sky, this is one of the most beautiful turnarounds for a game that I've ever witnessed. Going from the most anticipated game to one of the biggest letdowns to now one of the greatest games ever made. I've said it once and I'll say it again. If Cyberpunk was released in its current state, then the discussions for this game would be legendary. I already put it in my greatest games of all time list, it's just a matter of where I would put it. Another thing I wish the game would have kept the elements of was the 48-minute gameplay trailer that they released during the game's promotions. The HUD layout, the cutscenes, there's so much more from that 48 minutes that could have taken the game to another level. But I'm satisfied with the overall product. Not to mention, I'm also jealous of all the PC players because of all of the badass mods they get to make on a daily basis. But don't worry, Chum, I'll join the party one day. Also, I couldn't help but mention this, but Cyberpunk 2077 was created by a black man, Mike Pondsmith. Just another list of great things that black people have created on this planet. But let's stop right there and proceed back to the topic. Now, just like Elden Ring, I watch nothing but lore videos now. Oh, by the way, subscribe to Laid Back Gamers, Sam Bram, Wisefish, Everborn, Kayla Elizabeth, and my personal favorite, Shaped by Stories, for all of your Cyberpunk lore. Sorry for the other Cyberpunk YouTubers out there that didn't get mentioned. I probably just haven't come across your video yet. Now, if you played Cyberpunk 2077, let me know in the comments and let me know how you feel about it. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and share the video. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.